Yeah, hi, I'm Ryan Murphy, and my presentation is on design through mechanics, specifically in Magic the Gathering. Um, Specifically, what I'm going to be looking at this is the two most recent block sets of Magic the Gathering, Cans of Tarkir and Theros. And in these, I'm going to be looking at the main themes that they were aiming to get at, they were aiming to do in the blocks, and how they portrayed them through the mechanics. So just first off, what is Magic the Gathering? It's 22 years old. It's a collectible card game. It's a collectible card game that involves you opening booster packs, building decks, and playing against other people with those decks. Each block comes in 3 sets, and the 2 main aspects of the game is there's lands that produce mana, and the mana lets you cast spells. That's just a basic way so you kind of understand what I'm talking about. So the first block I'm going to be talking about is the Tarkir block, in which it's a block about time travel. So the idea was that there's the first set that's based in the world of Tarkir, then the second set is someone going back in time to change something, the third set is it after it's been changed. And specifically it was a person trying to stop all the dragons on the world being killed. And it was based around 5 tricolored clans. Each, you can see one of the leaders there, each having 3 of the colours that Magic is based around. And then the third set, after they're revived, they've been taken over by 5 dragon hordes. So I'm just going through the ones. The first one is the Tarkir Frontier, which was basically they're meant to be the more rugged, sort of survivalist type people. So their main mechanic was the mechanic of Ferocious, in which if a creature had a certain level of power, it gives them an extra activation thing, specifically the Stubborn Denial, in which it could counter a spell unless the person paid a certain amount extra, but if you activated Ferocious, you just got rid of it outright. You also have the leader before the time change, Sarkhan, who basically is able to, through the design of his own card, is able to show what they're about, because he can't be countered when he comes in. And he gives everything trample, so everything becomes much more powerful. And then, as you can see, as it goes throughout the second row here, is just the second setness. You can see they've become more about straight up damage rather than actually caring about the wilds or whatever. And you can see the leader, basically the way that the new leader works, or the old leader, is that they try and control the opponent's creatures. And then at the end, after the dragons have been revived, you can see Dragon Tarka here, who's now ruling over them and is a massive dragon. Doesn't really care about balance or anything like that, just cares about hunting. And it's portrayed with the fact that it has a power 8 toughness, which is exceedingly large for creatures, and it comes in dealing damage straight away. We can also see with the new mechanic of Formidable, in which rather than caring about a single creature's power, it cares about all of the creature's power, but it does it in a much greater base. So whereas Ferocious, they have to have power 4 or greater, Formidable they have to have power 8 or greater. And it does a similar effect to Ferocious, but is more idea of the fact that they now hunt as a group rather than as individuals. The next one was the Mardu Horde, which was sort of inspired off of the Mongols and kind of being a
mobile army?
Mobile army sort of. And this was portrayed by their leader Zergo, who had haste, so he was able to attack as soon as he came in. He's indestructible whenever he is attacking, and whenever he kills something, he gets more powerful. And through their main mechanic, which was Raid, which encouraged you to attack because you got bonuses from attacking. So in this example, basically you get a copy of the card you play if you've attacked this turn already. And then, as during the time change, it sort of during the time change they got their new mechanic, which was dash, which was a still showed the same aggressiveness, but it was different because basically it was an alternate cost that but your creature was only in play for that turn, and they'd return to your hand at the end of turn. This resulted in basically them becoming more aggressive than they were before, whereas before it was more you plan on being aggressive, where this was you were forced of doing it. And a similar thing with their leader was whenever she attacked, you could return a creature from your graveyard that had already died and have it also be attacking with her. And then when the dragons were revived, Dragon Lord Kozilek came in charge, and he drastically emphasized this aspect by giving all your creatures haste. So all your creatures were able to attack as soon as they came out, and were just way faster than they would normally be. And it was also the case that he would penalize your opponent for doing the same thing over and over again. That it would be, So and then the next one was the Sultai Brood, in which they were kind of meant to be sort of the devious, cunning people. That they were always decadent, as you can see, like with their leader not too well there. He's literally laying on a pile of gold. But in their initial incarnation, their main mechanic was Delve, in which you could remove stuff from your graveyard from the game forever, for that game, in order to reduce the cost of stuff. So in the first card, the Become Immense, has it that it's normally costs 6 mana, but you can delve away cards and you can go down to a draw of 1. And their leader helped portray this by having it that when she enters, she adds cards to your graveyard, along with whenever she attacks. And you still got a bonus from stuff entering your graveyard because with her second ability that you get zombies the more creatures that are put into your graveyard. So and then you can see that as it went back in time, you can see how their new leader, utilized the mechanic of Delve himself to reduce his own cost of coming in, but also had an activated ability that put stuff into your graveyard, but also let you take stuff back out by it being as your opponent's choice. And then when the dragons came back and took over, they ended up developing a new mechanic for them, which was exploit, which meant whenever you played a card, you could sacrifice a creature to get a bonus. So for instance, in the new Sidisi here, if you did the exploit, you could search your deck for any card. And also with their new leader Silumgar, he was able to, when he came in, take control of any creature your opponent controls and just keep it. So it was able to show the decadence that they have, that they just take what they want. And then there's the Jeskai, which were kind of based off of sort of Buddhist monks and meant to be exceedingly spiritual. And this was shown through their first mechanic, Prowess, which meant whenever you casted a non-creature spell, the creature who had it got a bonus. So it was meant to show that the more sort of intellectual, spiritual things that you did, the more powerful your creatures themselves became. And this was shown by Nissa, their leader, who, whenever she attacked, you were able to exile, like remove from game the top 4 cards of your library and cast them for free if they weren't creature spells. And then we can see as we went back in time, when they go back in time with their new leader, he was able to do that. He was able to do it that whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you were able to pay mana to give a creature you control a buff by giving them double strike, which lets them attack twice. And then we can see that as soon as the dragons took over, they developed a new mechanic called Rebound, which basically meant any spell with it would cast twice. It would cast the turn you play it, and then the start of your next turn. And this kind of showed that the resilience that they
emphasized.
The resilience that their magic had. That it wasn't like the first time. It would constantly be coming back, and this way was also shown from their new dragon leader by the fact that that you were able to look at the top cards of your library, reorganize them any way you want. You're able to predict what was going to happen next. And the last ones were the Abzan, which were meant to be like the fortified defensive people, the big walls, shields, all that sort of stuff. They were just meant to be like hardest to hit. And this was shown by their mechanic Outlast, in which basically you could pay a certain amount and you could buff that creature, but it would spend that creature for a turn. And they also had stuff that interacted with, like specifically they put 1/1 counters on the creature, and then they had things that would give the creatures buffs if they had these counters. And this is shown their leader by having it that whenever she attacks, you put more counters on your creatures, and also their ferocity in and then also when they went back in time, it was just they developed a new mechanic, Bolster, which was similar to that last, but it was always that they would enhance their weakest person. So for this instance, it was for the cash discovery, it was Bolster 3, so it would put 3 1/1 counters on your weakest creature. My conclusion is basically that, as you can see, there was a lot of design that has went into these characters, into the characters and the cards that they've designed to actually emphasize the story that they're trying to tell. Just any questions then?
Why is this so popular?
But what do you mean
This
specifically?
game.
This game?
To what do you attribute its popularity?
I say its popularity is partially because they put so much effort into trying to tell a story through the cards, but also because there's a certain amount of randomness to the actual fact that it's a deck that you build and you shuffle it, so you don't know the exact cards you're getting, because that's always been attributed to, if you fail, it could be, I just didn't draw the cards I need.
Random storytelling. Quick questions, comments?
I think you could look at other games and the mechanics that they've used to design
Yeah.
their games as well. Like,
Yeah.
let's say League of Legends, the different type of characters like ranged, magic, and like I'm not familiar with League,
Yeah,
but
that's-
even Counter-Strike as well. Look at the money system, because the whole game revolves around just the money within the game, that you have to buy certain weapons during certain rounds and you have to save some rounds because you can't afford it. I think that really affects the type of gameplay that you do.
Yeah, that was my plan. It was just kind of for this, I was just wanting to focus on this one first.
Okay. Fernando.